Welcome to New Life Live with host and founder of New Life Ministries, Stephen Arterburn. New Life Live is dedicated to transforming lives one at a time, thanks to the giving hearts of you, our listeners. Our goal is to provide you with wisdom from God's Word to give you hope and help in life's hardest places. If you have a question you'd like to ask today, our phone lines are open. Call 1-800-229-3000. That number again is 1-800-229-3000. Now here's Steve.
Hello, everybody. It's Becky Brown, and I'm joined by Chris Williams and Dr. Jim Burns in California. How are you guys?
Good.
Very good. I told you yesterday that I needed to buy all of my Christmas presents, so I still need to. I'm just having you hold me accountable because it's getting pretty close.
Well, it is pretty close. We are down to 2 days before, and some people are celebrating even today. But, Christmas is such a great and tricky time of year. I mean, we are celebrating the greatest gift of all. I mean, I just love all of the Christmas songs that speak about Jesus' coming and the fulfillment of prophecy. It's really an amazing time. However, the tricky part is, how do we all get along in our families? How do we deal with the tensions that we deal with getting our Christmas list done, because it's all about that, right, Jim? You got to get yours done.
I do.
It's supposed to be all is calm, all is bright, but yet it is sometimes the furthest thing from either of those. What robs people of the peace that they should be receiving at this time of the year?
Well, unfortunately, the holidays are a petri dish of crazy.
Okay, there's a good way to say it.
We have all kinds of ingredients going in here that provide combustible material, where it's like we're a bunch of 10-year-olds in the basement with a chemistry set and someone's going to get their hands blown off, right? So let's go to the ingredients. One ingredient is expectation, right? We carry a lot of these oftentimes unrealistic expectations that don't reflect the reality of our situation. We want the magic, but what happens when the magic isn't there? Now, in addition to expectation, we have this other ingredient called pressure. And for us adults with children and family and all of that, and there's parties and there's planning and then there's presents and so what it actually does, instead of a time of rest, it becomes a pressurized environment of expectation and work, and then we're put ourselves right at the edge. So when our children aren't as grateful as we expect them to be when they open up their present, right? Then with the expectancy and pressure and fatigue, and then you have all of us show up, and lo and behold, we all got our personal issues and really weird stuff going on. It's just this petri dish. We're like, hey guys, let's call it for what it is.
Yeah, and sometimes we just have to stop. It was that great theologian Vince Lombardi, the coach of the Green Bay Packers, who said, fatigue makes cowards of us all. And so when we're overly busy,
that's really good, Jim.
We're fatigued. And when we're fatigued, then we become lousy husbands, lousy wives, lousy parents, lousy brothers and sisters. And yet, what do? We do what you just said. We just keep piling on things. And somebody once said to me, if the devil can't make you bad, he'll make you busy. And I think Christmas becomes that, because it's like what you said, Becky. We're so aware of this incredible gift of the Messiah. The Christ child is born, and we're too busy to recognize that because we got presents to wrap, and because we've got stuff to go buy, and we've got things to do, and what we need to do sometimes is just stop. You use the word rest, rest, and find fulfillment in the incredible gift of that baby who was born so we might have life eternal and abundant.
That's really
amazing,
good, Jim.
amazing
really good,
gift.
Jim.
And for those of you who are feeling guilty because you don't feel that calm and that peace, know that you're not alone. And sometimes I think when we can just be vulnerable and say that we're stressed, but we're looking for the peace that Christ gives us, I think you're going to find company in that. You're going to find somebody else that's going to say, you know what, I want that too. And, let's just get in the car, go drive around, look at pretty lights. At least that's what we do here in the Midwest. I think you guys do that out west as well. But
yes, we do.
Just find some places to find that calm and that peace. And if you're struggling, because it could be more than just Christmas. This could just be the impetus that's uncovering some other stuff. We can help you with that. We'll be right back after the break taking your calls.
it had become very apparent that some of the things I was involved with were taking over my life.
In today's world, men are barraged with inappropriate content and images all day, every day. Some say that certain behaviors are just no big deal. It's just part of being a guy. But it's simply not true. It's a battleground for every man, and the opportunities to fail are everywhere. New Life's Every Man's Battle Workshop can help.
After 7 years, just one weekend, a completely changed man.
For over 20 years, New Life Ministries has been helping men regain their integrity and purity through their one-of-a-kind Every Man's Battle Workshop.
He said, I think this is something that every man should go to. Married, dating, it was definitely life-changing.
Now the workshop is coming to Washington, D.C., January 6th through the 8th. Don't wait for him to call. To find out more, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE or go to newlife.com.
I just can't say enough of what New Life has done for our marriage.
1-800-NEWLIFE. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back. It is a busy time of year, but maybe while you're wrapping presents or going for that walk after a meal, you can listen to the podcast of New Life Live. And, we're on all the time. You can download the free app, or you can listen wherever you get your podcast. We want to be with you. And I just talked to somebody the other day that says that she exercises listening to the podcast. And I love that. So, hey, do another mile for me, and that would be great.
Let's get one more rep.
One more rep. We're going to talk to Marie, who's calling us from Phoenix, Arizona, and she listens online. Hi, Marie. We're glad you called. How can we help you today?
Hi, everybody. I'm doing okay. My question is that I was calling because usually I have everybody come over for the holidays. My children, I have a 9-year-old, a 6-year-old, a 15-year-old, and then I also have my parents and my husband's parents and, my nieces and nephews. And the issues that I have during the holidays is I just can't seem to find anything that would bring us all together, especially with the cell phones for the teens and, the YouTube and all those other things. We've tried to play various different games, but we found that they either are too young for the older crowd, like my parents, they're more geared to the youngers, or they're too old. So like the younger kids are not, able to play. And we tried to play a game that someone had recommended last year called Cards Against Humanity, and it was just really rude and crass.
Yes.
Very much so. And so I don't know if there's anything out there that would help to connect my family, to just give us something wholesome, something that everybody across all these different generations can come together to really compete with the mobile and technology that is kind of taking our kids away from us.
That's a great question, Marie. Jim, let's start with you.
Well, we just had a family gathering, and we have the same problem. I laughed at how many cell phones are out during the family gathering. But I'll just tell you, you know what? I go back to, I think you just have to do a little bit harder search. My wife came up with a Christmas game that actually she bought at a CVS, and it was just questions about Christmas, and she was in charge. So the little kids got the the easy questions, and the harder questions were with the parents, and everybody laughed, and we laughed at each other, and we laughed with each other, and we had a lot of fun playing that game. I also find that one of the traditions we have on Christmas Eve is we actually act out with the little kids, the littlest, kind of the we have Mary and Joseph and a baby and whatnot. And I'll admit it, our 1-year-old grandson fell in the middle of the whole deal because he was the baby Jesus and hit his head and cried. And
oh, gosh.
But you know what I'm saying is what it did was it brought us all together. Now that one, I went on a side note with that. But, we just laugh for just a little bit. We enjoy each other's company. And we go on it. I would say take baby steps and find something like that. At the same time, at our Christmas party, we had a Uno tournament going on. It's not very Christmassy or very, Jesus-y, if you would, but the Uno tournament seemed to work with a lot of people. And they put their cell phones down, they put their times down, and they came in and did that. I know people who play ping pong, whatever it might be. But it may just be that you haven't found the right thing yet. But I think you're on to something.
Yes. Yeah, to affirm that 100%, And by the way, it's also okay to set a boundary. Hey, y'all, for the next 2 hours, all technology and screens are out.
Here's the cell phone bucket.
Exactly.
We're gonna put it in.
Yeah. So I want you to know that you can do that. You're allowed to do that, and I think it's really good. And to Jim's point, is that we want to use our creativity here. One of the things that we do is we do a ornament decorating contest.
Awesome.
You know, and you can either decorate an ornament, or you can do the Christmas cookie decorating.
Yeah.
And so
that's a good idea.
It's a craft that we're all doing and doing something together, and we're laughing and we're joking and we're having fun, and we're making something. And so I had mentioned before on a previous show that, you know, human beings flourish at the intersection of great creating and great relating.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
And so we're all relating well, creating well, laughing, and it's really light and fun. So keep exploring those options, Mary.
You know, play does. Play brings you together. Play builds harmony. Play actually sometimes will break open a broken spirit. And so
that's good.
I think what we've got here with Maria is she's trying. She hasn't found it yet, but we just keep on trying. By the way, I've met your wife. I've met your kids. I think that their cookies and their ornaments are a lot probably more creative than yours. I'm just telling you.
Jim, you have no idea. Like they definitely got the creative bones for sure.
I want to encourage you though, Marie, too, to expect resistance, but that doesn't mean that it's a problem.
Yes,
like just know that
good.
they're not going to always like it, but also if you assign responsibility to some of the people in the family to kind of take up the mantle. I love the idea of having the phone box and all that kind of stuff, but you know, I love your heart. That you want your family to get together. And some of the greatest moments are when the little babies hit their head and everybody cries. I know that sounds funny, Jim, but I mean, listen, you're talking about the fact that your grandson was playing and everyone will remember that. Remember that Christmas that we all got together and, you know, so just keep pushing ahead and know that you are going in the right direction, Marie.
Yes.
We're going to send you a copy of the 1 Year Bible for Women. I think that will be encouraging to you in these days. We're going to go to Stacy, who's calling us from Ogden, Utah, listens on Sirius XM. Hi, Stacy. We're so glad you called. How can we help you today?
Hi, thanks for having me on the show. I appreciate it. I've listened for a long time.
Great.
I was sitting here as I was listening, trying to succinctly come up with my question. So I'll give it a shot here. I am trying to determine how to proceed or if to proceed with the relationship I have with my biological mother. We've known each other and been in relationship for about 17 years. I was adopted as a baby, found her when I was 36. And 2 days ago, we had a, how do I put it, knockdown, drag out fight, discussion on the phone, because I confronted her about some things that I wasn't happy about. And it was met with anger, put downs, irritation, you know, things of this nature. One example is she literally screamed, "You need to get over being adopted." And multiple times. And I said that, and I didn't want to be mean, but I wanted to say, well, that just shows your lack of emotional intelligence and understanding relationships, deep relationships, because that is not the problem. I'm proud of my story. I trust God's sovereignty in my story. I like my story. I understand why you didn't keep me. She was 15, date rape, legalistic, religious parents, shipped her off. And I was adopted and loved and cared for. It wasn't perfect by any means. But, and I just feel like we've reached a crossroads where I'm wondering if it's just too painful for me to try, and I don't want to expect her to be different. And she, just labeled me as I'm like one side of her family, and basically she was putting all those people down that were too sensitive or too emotional. And I consider myself highly emotionally intelligent, maybe an empath, I'm not sure, but I'm very, and I like those sorts of things. I'm very compassionate. I'm very empathetic. I like to talk about deep things. And
it sounds like you've done your work, Stacy, but sometimes relationships are really, really tricky when there's some old wounding I'd say on the behalf of your birth mother. But let's hear what Chris and Jim would have to say to kind of encourage you on whether you continue with the relationship or not.
Well, it's a little bit tricky. Stacey, it's a little bit tricky territory because I don't know the work that your biological mother has done around her own story. But
absolutely none.
Okay, so then let's go there. You represent a primary trauma for her.
Okay.
Which carries shame and guilt to this day.
Yeah.
So your story is probably intolerable to her. Right? Because if you have a problem, if you struggle, what her shame may be globalizing the story to or filtering the story to is that you wouldn't have these problems if your biological mother didn't put you up for adoption, wasn't in this situation. So that's what shame does. It makes us overly responsible for everyone else's story. And so whether you know it or recognize it or not, you could represent a walking trigger for her, which really does make it unsafe for you.
Wow, there it is. Yeah. I'm a walking trigger. I'm sorry, I'm trying to write some of this down.
Yeah, me too. Me too, Stacey. That was really good.
Yeah, I actually wrote notes too. Stacey, you are one of the more articulate people I've ever heard, and it means that I believe that you have great emotional intelligence, etc. And you're not responsible for her brokenness, and so you'll have to decide where this relationship goes. And my guess is you're going to have to lead it. And you go, well, great, I'm the kid who at 15 she had me, but you're the more responsible one. So in this, I think somebody has to choose health and responsibility and whatnot, and you'll have to choose that, and actually safety, to be honest. Now, there are seasons in relationships, but because you're not responsible for how she's going to act or how she's going to react, then all you can do is be responsible for you. And there's Martin Luther said, many, many years ago in another century, he said, I can't do anything about the birds flying over my head, but I can do something about them roosting on my head. And so for you, you obviously, you can manage this relationship to the extent that you want it to be managed, and that might be that you're going to take a little break, or that you don't. I know my dad was an alcoholic, and I had good advice from somebody who said, what, I know you want your dad to have more of a intimacy connection with you, but it ain't going to happen. And amazing that when my dad at 67 years old quit drinking, my relationship with my dad over the last 20 years of his life changed because he actually changed it, because he was able to have some intimacy, and I started hearing I love you and things, and I was in a state of shock on that. But the best advice I could get about my dad, and your situation's different, was lower your expectations. It ain't going to happen. Okay. And that was from somebody who was also an alcoholic. See, so this is an important thing for you to understand, that you're in control. You're the responsible one.
Okay. Because I would equate her to almost handicapped. It's like she's missing a limb, and she refuses to address it. And and I'm over here going, come on, let's be more intimate, take this to the next level. Yeah. And I thought we had more. And the fight happened because she didn't tell me about something very significant in her life, and I said I thought we were closer than that, and it was on after that.
Stacey, that's the thing about, that acceptance piece is really important, and it's one step at a time. And so when you just said that, you thought that you were closer than that, you thought that you guys had moved, you forgot who she was. And, it's that acceptance of, what can I do with this pain? Chris, you were talking about the shame that her mom has, gets all wrapped up into whatever Stacey has. What is the possibility of them growing closer in the way that Stacey's hoping? And what would need to be in place?
Well, what would need to be in place is that it's what's inside, right? When I'm carrying around a negative belief about myself, like I'm unworthy, unlovable, I'm not good enough, what happens is I hear everyone else's story filtered through that lens. And so we must become safe people ourselves. Yeah. And that's the primary work. When we in our field, when we say, hey, you got to do the work is on ourselves so that we can show up much safer to ourselves and to the world around us.
It's so powerful. I hope that's helpful, Stacy. I think
thank you.
Yeah, I think what Jim said was pretty powerful. And we're, as far as, your own growth and your own work that you've done, it just, when we have a trigger, that just means that there's more work to be done. It doesn't mean that, you haven't done anything up to this point. And you know what? There's a grieving that has to go in when you encounter these impasses with your mom, your birth mother, and to be able to grieve what you thought could be and accept where it is. And maybe, how can I have this detached relationship that keeps me, because you can have an, influence on her. I hope that something we've said has helped you, and we're so glad that you called today, Stacy.
For most of my life, I've been dealing with an opiate addiction.
Why is opioid addiction quickly becoming one of our nation's biggest killers? Maybe it's because it isn't only those who are addicted who are in denial.
We did what I see so many parents do, is it can't be an addiction. There's something medically wrong.
It's impossible to solve a problem when you don't know what you're up against, and families will try to find any explanation except the one that will put them on the right path.
Alcoholism and drug addiction is a family disease. It doesn't affect just the individual.
If someone you love is abusing painkillers, know what you're up against. It's time to admit it's addiction and seek treatment. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We have Christ-centered partner treatment centers around the country. Call 1-800-639-5433 or visit us online at newlife.com.
We just made a decision. We will do whatever it takes.
1-800-NEW-LIFE. Chris Williams on coaching.
Oftentimes I get asked, what is the difference between therapy and coaching? The biggest difference between the two is that a therapist is going to be looking for a diagnosable mental health condition, whereas a coach is going to look at a particular issue and help a person work through that.
If you need a coach, call New Life today and ask about the New Life Coaching Network. Our coaches have been trained and screened with the same intensive process we use for our network counselors.
If you're looking at an issue in your life that you just kind of want to change, whether it be your weight or leadership or other areas of behavioral patterns, check out coaching. There can be some really, really helpful things for you.
Take control of your life and take action to achieve your goals. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433 and talk to us about getting a New Life coach. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Steve Arterburn here. Here's what your giving does. Listen to this. I want to thank this ministry for a life-changing event. I feel I can finally be free of an addiction of 60 years.
And amazing. Just that little bit of testimony from Steve and the work that men will do at an Every Man's Battle workshop, it changes their life. The testimony is he's been free for 60 years. We've got Every Man's Battle coming up in January. It's in Washington, D.C., and it could be the very thing that you need to have the best next 60 years of your life. I think sometimes we put things off. We put healing off because we think, we can handle it. But, just this testimony should be encouraging as you think forward about how your giving makes a difference in new life, as well as your work towards a new life. And if you need help, we are here for you. And we are here for you because of the donations of so many people. If you want to be part of that giving family, you can call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. You can go to newlife.com and click donate, or, just send a check in the mail. It's okay. Either way, we're going to help somebody have a new life. And we're so grateful for all of you who are giving. We're going to go to our next caller, who is Seth, and he is calling us from Wichita, Kansas, and watches us on YouTube. I want to say hello to our YouTube family, and if you're watching us there, click that like button or subscribe. It helps get the word out about New Life, and we're glad you're there. Hi, Seth. Thanks so much for calling. How can we help you?
My name is Seth. I did quite a bit of ministry in McPherson and Kansas years and years ago, and I got involved with churches and stuff. And then I started going astray. I didn't even know it. I started drinking a little bit, and I got into drugs. I didn't put my Bible down, and I did, and I didn't, and I dropped in and out of college, Bible or for ministry. And I ended up like locked into drugs and studying a bunch of stuff I shouldn't. And I still was a believer. I kept my Bible and kept reading my Bible quite a bit. But I started hearing these voices, and I thought I was hearing like I was confused about the thing in Isaiah where it talks about the Spirit of the Lord, where He whispers to us a still small voice. And I believe. And I started hearing these voices real faint and weird, and started hearing the sounds from the TVs and just really weird and chanting weird stuff. And they started to instruct me and tell me they were like prophets of God and ministering spirits of God and messengers and angels. They even said they were Jesus and God Himself and all kinds of stuff. And I started to listen to them and obey them for quite a long time. And I left McPherson, got really high, stuck. I was homeless for many years.
So it sounds pretty scary, Seth. It sounds like you got a lot. Do you have a question that we can help you with now?
Well, I'm obviously dealing with demonic possession, and they're fighting with my minds. I was wondering some of the best ways that how I can get some help and getting through this, getting closer with God, getting deliverance.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks, Seth. Okay, Jim, you want to start?
Yeah. I simply, Seth, it's great that you called, and it's great that you want to change. I appreciate that so much. I encourage you to keep on, keeping on. I would say that anytime you're starting to hear voices, and you're bringing up the demon issues, and again, we get discernment in the counsel of others. The Bible says where there's no counsel, the people fall, but in the multitude of counselors, there is safety. And so I think your safety is going to come from having conversations with a reputable pastor, having conversations with perhaps a psychiatrist who could help you discern what this is. Because again, it could be all kinds of things, but have you ever been on medication? Has anybody prescribed medication for you for actually what you've been talking about in terms of hearing some of these voices or anything?
Yeah, I've been on and off antipsychotics and stuff, and they have me diagnosed schizophrenic now.
Okay. Yeah.
But these voices, they're definitely demons. I can feel them. They're evil. They mess with me. And try to cause.
Well, I'm going to let Chris. I'm going to let Chris take over. But let me just say this: keep on taking your medication, and yes. Do you want to get some of the spiritual insight and care from someone who you respect and admire within the church, who loves Jesus more and is passionate about it? Yeah, of course. Don't do one or the other. Do both.
Yeah.
Okay.
And really, Seth, that's all I can affirm. In working with people who have struggled like you have struggled. And first off, Seth, I am so sorry that you are struggling with this. For those who haven't experienced it and can't quite understand it, it really is a scary and even torturous experience. And I know that God doesn't want you to suffer like this. And we don't, and let me be honest, we don't have all of the great reasons of why or even how or how to take care of this. But to really do what Jim said, let's take a all-in approach. Let's keep working through, because one of the challenging things about psychiatric medication is our body adapts to it, and so it needs to shift over time to keep its effectiveness. So stay in line with your doctor. Stay in line with your psychiatrist, and absolutely pursue prayer ministries and deliverance ministries and relational support, that you're surrounded with God's love and God's gifting to keep walking you through this really difficult situation.
Yeah. Seth, thanks so much for calling. We're going to send you a copy of Healing is a Choice, but I also want to get you in touch with one of our treatment centers, because that could be a next step. In-depth treatment is a very good help, because it kind of provides that stabilization that so many people need. We are so glad you called. We'll be praying for you, and we'll be right back after this.
My husband was involved with a pornography addiction. He was unfaithful. I called the wedding off. He stepped out on the marriage and ended up having a child.
The Restore Workshop is designed for a woman dealing with a man's sexual addiction issues.
My husband is a recovering sex addict. There were strip clubs, other ladies.
If you've been affected by betrayal, an emotional or physical affair, or pornography, the Restore Workshop will equip you with support and tools to help you through.
Restore has empowered me and has given me the tools to work through my anger, work through my pain, work through my confusion, and help me realize that I am worthy.
Being here and being surrounded by people who get it has given me my power back.
The Restore Workshop is coming to Orange County, California, February 24th through the 26th. To register or to find out more, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE or online at newlife.com.
Thank you, Restore. You have changed my life forever.
I was really living a very anxiety-filled life. I did go to Take Your Life Back. That's why I continue to support the ministry with the hope that not only am I helping my own situation, that I'm helping others as well.
You can help New Life stay on the air by joining Club New Life today. When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, we'll send you the new member thank you gift of the 1-year Bible for men or the 1-year Bible for women. These Bibles combine the best-selling daily Bible reading format with 2-minute daily devotionals written to create a one-of-a-kind devotional Bible that you'll love. There are also ongoing benefits like the monthly Club New Life CD or download, access to the Club New Life video library, quarterly resources, and discounts on workshops. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Support Club New Life, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back. We're so glad that you joined us today, 2 days before Christmas, or maybe you're listening to us at another time, but we're just glad you're here. We want to help you. And right now we are going to take a call from Dee, who's calling us from Fort Lauderdale, listens on WTLN. Hi, Dee. I'm glad you called. How can we help you?
Hi there. I'm so glad to be able to talk to you. I was all of your callers, and I'm calling because it is close to Christmas, and I just wanted to talk about Christmas traditions that I am trying in my family because it's been so hard with the technology to get my kids to communicate with us, and the grandparents are feeling left out, and to kind of bring everybody together. And so we have been trying some different things to try to get the technology out of the house and get the family together better. And to focus in on those good old values that we have with, the family.
I love it.
So one of the things that we're doing this year is because my kids are taking off and getting ready to go to college, so we're just trying to get some boundaries in here with the phones. And so we are deciding to create a phone-free zone here. Where you can have the phone. You can't have your phone, basically. You're coming in, you have a phone in your room, that kind of stuff, but not really a phone out here where the rest of the family is interacting and coming to be. Grandparents are coming from a long way, so we're trying to get them to be comfortable. So
love it.
Home-free zone, where my oldest was coming in with a new game that nobody has played before, so that we could all play games. We have the traditional board games, of course, but we wanted them to be responsible for, thinking of something the family could find and play together. So that was the challenge for my oldest, was to come in with a new game. And quite frankly, they jumped on Etsy and found a game quickly called Bah Humbug. I don't know if you've heard of it, but it seems to be a classic Christmas trivia card game. And I just got it actually in the mail. They ordered it, so I already have it here at my house, waiting for everybody to come in next week for Christmas. So I'm
That's awesome. It's awesome, Dee. It sounds like you got it all taken care of, and we're going to probably see the sales of that game go through the roof because of that mention. But we're so glad that you have figured it out, and we're going to pray that you guys have a great Christmas at your house. And we know that the phone-free zone will help.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, God bless you. And we're going to send you a copy of the 1 Year Bible for Women, and I think that that'll be a good way to start the new year for you. You can. If you want a copy of it, you can also, if you're listening and you want a copy, we have 1 Year Bible for men or women, and you can read through the entire Bible in 2023. And it's your thank you gift if you join Club New Life. And what a gift it is. And I have been reading through the Bible this way for about 20 years, and it really does make an impact on your life. In each of these Bibles, Steve does the writing for the men's Bible, and his wife Misty writes for the women's Bible, and it's just encouraging as you go through together. And I'd encourage you to get a couple of them and have some friends that are reading along with you. We're going to go to
hold on,
Chris.
Becky, I gotta jump in. Okay, because it's confession time. I struggle with looking at my phone too much when I'm at home. Okay, so one of the things that I think that us adults, me, need to work on is like, these kids these days, right? Listen, they were born into a world with screens. It's a part of their world. It's embedded in their world. My kids are assigned an iPad at school, right? So our protest against it, I'm sorry, but prohibition as an overall category, you've lost that battle. But I just want to say this, and it's a reminder to me, because something I need to work on this Christmas season, and I need to work on every day of my life, but us adults need to take the lead. Our kids are going to model our behavior. So if you're like me out there, and you're struggling with zoning out into your screens or on your phone or TV or whatever the case may be, look at some resources this Christmas. Look at some boundaries. Go to work on it, because one of the most important things that for our own health and the health of relationships is the ability to be present. And as cliche as it is, let's give the present of our presence to the people around us.
Children regard your very presence as a sign of caring and connectedness. And so you're so right. Children see, children do. So it starts with us taking the lead. Now Dee had a really good idea, because screen-free zones is something that you're seeing more and more with books for parenting, developing some of these. And there are times, at dinner, I'm sorry, but we're not on our phones. Our phones are nowhere to be seen or whatever, certain times. So she has a great idea, and you're right. It's children see, children do. But children regard your very presence as a sign of caring connectedness. We need to do that this Christmas. That's a gift more than whatever the present is that we're going to give to them.
One of the things I want to one more thing about this screen thing is that it goes back to that whole idea that we talk about in recovery, is we have some standards that we set up so that we can experience freedom. And so some standards could be no screens at the table. We keep them in our bags or our pockets when we are in conversation with somebody at, whether it's coffee or whatever. It also can be just personal in that you turn it off an hour before you go to bed at night. Research has shown that we are rewiring our brains every day. And you're right, Chris, we benefit from screens. I'm looking at 4 right now. So I wouldn't want to get rid of them all together. But I just think that this is something where you've got to have some space and grace all at the same time. So we're glad for that call, Dee, and we wish you a very Merry Christmas. We're going to go to Kathy, who's calling us from San Jose, California, listens on the internet on one of those screens, and we're so glad that you do. Hi, Kathy, how can we help you today?
Thank you. I want to know how to not react to my husband when I feel like he's critical. Like he'll shake his head in disgust at me. He'll kind of, I feel like it's just really critical. I don't know if other people would react or be triggered like I am. Like I do think I'm sensitive and defensive. So I want to know, how do I not get so angry when I'm in the middle, maybe in the middle of a project or something. He walks by and he shakes his head. He thinks maybe I'm not going to clean it up, or, you know, I could give you several examples, but just how do I not react? How do I not get angry?
Okay. I wonder if that's the right question to be asking. Let's see what Chris and Jim have to say about that.
You know, one thing I'd say, Kathy, right away is that it's really a communication issue as well as a heart issue. And I've often said, even on this show, that one of my mentors, the founder of eharmony.com, just an incredible man, he taught me that communication is a learned trait. Mm-hmm. And so how you react, how you deal with these things is really a learned trait. And so instead of focusing on your husband, which I don't hear you always, I don't hear you doing that. You were focusing on you. I think it's important that you do focus on you and you learn how to respond to these, but also learn how to communicate with your husband on what you need. The breakthrough for me, I've been married for 48 years to Kathy, my Kathy. And you know what? It took me 20 of those years to figure out that communication was a learned trait and that I had some big time learning to do. So the beautiful thing about this is I think what you're dealing with, and even you mentioned the word defensiveness never works when we're dealing with conflict. It just simply doesn't work. When we move from a negative form of conflict, which would be defensiveness, to a positive form of conflict, because we're going to have conflict and tension, but we move to more, what can I learn from this? What can I learn from how I'm responding to my husband, or how I'm feeling, or why did that bug me that he shook his head? In that process, you might really be able to do some great soul searching and look at your life and go, gosh, I can communicate here better, but I can also learn this is why I respond like this. He's got some part to this too, no doubt about it. But you might want to, again, I sound like a broken record, but I think people can learn from coaching and counseling on this. They can, counselors, sometimes they don't communicate any better with their own spouse. I'll just tell you that much right now. But they have the principles down to help you.
Hey,
you guys are
stop
laughing.
telling on me.
No, yeah, exactly.
I don't know who he's talking about.
But,
Go ahead, Jim. I was just saying though that's the reason why I said I don't know if that's the right question, right, Kathy? Because it's not that you can't react. It's let's get underneath the reaction and find out what's really going on. Chris, I know you have a lot to add to this. You can hear the music, Kathy. We're going to go to a break and then we'll come back and we'll finish this call. One of the things about marital counseling and what we do at our intimacy and marriage workshop is we get below what the conflict is about. As opposed to, because a lot of times couples just go round and round the same thing, and it's really not about the thing that they're going around about. Yeah. It's really what's at the core of that. And that's where that freedom and that real connection and that intimacy can come. If you would be interested in having that kind of marriage, you can go to Intimacy and Marriage. In February, we're going to be in Orange County. You can give us a call, and we'll see you there.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn from New Life Live, and Chris Williams and I are doing the Emotional Freedom Workshop. A lot of people are you could literally say, in bondage from past trauma that has created an emotional web that they don't understand, and it prevents them from being free. A person that loses their temper regularly is not emotionally free. Someone who has anxiety just to get in the car and leave the house is not emotionally free. And walking around with the shame from a childhood or even a bad relationship as an adult, that is not emotional freedom, and we can help you get there.
The New Life Emotional Freedom Online Workshop is Saturday, January 21st. Steve Arterburn, Chris Williams, and Dr. Jackie McHarris will present information on the power of our emotions, procrastination, guilt and shame, and more. And small group leaders will help you process the information you learn. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE or register online at newlife.com.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for 30 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
I'm an addict, and I'm trying to get God in my life again.
You seem to be able to get to the crux of a problem quickly.
Our Christ-centered treatment programs can help you break free to embrace all that God has for you and your family.
I just want to thank you guys for bringing me to a relationship with Jesus.
There really is help for marital problems, depression, addictions, panic attacks, and feelings of hopelessness.
I came back with so many tools to help me prepare myself to fight this struggle and this battle that I have every day.
You can start living again today, living the life God intended for you. Help is available at 1-800. New Life.
They did care, and they did follow up very lovingly, and it made all the difference in my life.
Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Someone who cares is waiting at the other end of the phone. God can open the door to a better tomorrow right now. Just call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. 1-800-639-5433.
To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back. In case you are finishing up some gift wrapping, one of the things that we want to encourage you to do is to gift wrap this new year with love, peace, joy, all the things that Christ gave his life for. And we're just celebrating that. Right now, we're talking with Kathy. And Kathy, Chris wants to start, and I think he'll give you some insight as well.
So Kathy, the first thing is this, is my friend, you have got to learn to tell better stories. Much better stories, okay? Because you are taking blank space and you are writing a really, really bad story about yourself, and you're writing a bad story about your husband. Like, he could be thinking of anything, which, by the way, is none of your business, unless he says it. He could be thinking anything. He'd be thinking, man, I forgot to do that thing, and shaking his head. And then you take that, and you already have a narrative inside of yourself about you that you're making him right. That's not fair to him. Okay? My guess is...
Well, give her the example, Chris, that we were talking about.
I can't remember, Becky.
Well, Kathy, when you said, this is what triggered this thought, is Kathy, when you said that you might be working on something and he walks by and shakes his head, and the story that you have in your head is that he says she's not going to clean that up. That's what you said is in his head. And what Chris is saying
he actually,
is you don't...
He did say that.
Well,
he did say that.
Okay. So, so to Jim's point, we got some work to do on communication, and maybe there is patterns, and not maybe, there probably is patterns of criticism that need to be changed for sure. But we also need to work on not just what the other person is saying, but we've got to be very, very keenly aware of what am I hearing. Because I talk about this often, is that when we have things in our past, for instance, let me give you an example. If in my past I have an organizing principle in relationship that I'm a burden, put there by a painful experience. I was a burden to my parents. I was a burden to somebody else. So then we use that as the plot line to the stories we hear other people telling us. And it's not until we change those plot lines that we start hearing something different, maybe hearing something more truthful. So Kathy, I want you to hear a both and. I've got to work on the story I'm telling myself and whose face I'm putting on that. And I also probably got to get to work on some things in our marriage so that we can communicate in a healthier, more connected, more supportive way.
And, the key there, Kathy, is you do get angry if he puts you down verbally, because you should be angry. That's not good communication. That's not what Jim is talking about. Right. But I think that if you can, if the two of you can get together and to really understand what is underneath all of that, I think that can be a good way forward. I'm going to send you a copy of How We Love, and also invite you guys to join us at the Intimacy and Marriage workshop that's going to be in February in Southern California. We've got one more caller we're going to take before we go. John's calling us from Dallas, Texas, and listens on KWRD. John, we just have a few minutes, but I wanted to get to your call. How can we help you today?
It's just anxiety. What can I do to deal with this? I have anxiety over my son's leaving, and I know this may sound a little, but I can't fathom them leaving and coming home, them not being there, especially when they say, I'm not ever coming back. I start evaluating everything I've done to their lives, and they've really gotten everything they wanted. This anxiety is so horrible.
Okay.
I need some help.
Okay. Well, Jim, you want to start?
John, are you getting any help with your anxiety? we're not going to talk about the sons just right now, but you do sound like there's a lot of anxiety going on in your heart. Are you getting the help you need with that? Have you focused on that at all?
I talked to a counselor. I also take things, magnesium and different things. They give me some drugs. A psychologist does.
John, let me ask this a quick question here. Who have you left that was painful, or who has left you that was painful?
A wife.
Yeah.
Two of them have, and it was painful.
Yeah. One of the things that's really tricky about the grief and loss process is that when it gets stuck, it turns itself into anxiety, depression, or anger. And that's kind of how it bleeds out. And so I really think that you're dealing with a lot of loss in your life, and what you're telling yourself, maybe not consciously, but deep down, I can't handle another loss. I don't have any more in me, any more bandwidth to deal with one more loss, especially if something that's significant, because my heart is still captured by the loss I haven't fully grieved. And so I really want to encourage you to get into some deeper grief work here.
Would you think, Chris, a grief group, or even a 12-step group?
It's spot on. Becky, that is spot on. Because the group experience itself allows you to bond with other people, connect with other people. You're not doing this solo. So it's really scratching two itches at the same time. It's helping you process through the grief as you're gaining relationship with other people.
Well, the other part of that too, Chris, is what you're going to address at Emotional Freedom Workshop. You're getting stuck, John, in this, and so you've got to find a way to process this so that you can launch your sons strong, so that they, because this is going to be part of their life. They, they're not meant to stay with you forever, but we want to give you some support in that way. And maybe you could join us at the Emotional Freedom Workshop that's going to be online in January. Jim, you wanted to go back to the sons. We've just got about a minute, but I don't know if you can give him some direction in that way.
I would just simply remind you, John, that as your sons are launching into adulthood, they're going to become their own persons. And one of the principles is, you're fired as a day-to-day parent, and now your relationship has to change, and you'll have to take the lead with that. Part of that is when you're dealing with your own anxiety and the tension in your life, it's going to be hard to give them that passport to adulthood, if you would. But it's time to let them go. They come back, and they come back with a different relationship, in a good way. You become much more of a mentor, and you become, it's not peer, but you do become different. You're now not in control of their day-to-day parenting. That doesn't mean they're going to leave you. It just means that the relationship is going to change. And that's a great thing to be working through in your own life, to begin to accept the fact that this relationship is going to change. And they're not going to want, I'm not calling you Eeyore, but they're not going to want an Eeyore. They're going to want somebody who's cheering them on. So you got to find the strength to do it. And I just think of that scripture that Jesus said at the end of the Sermon on the Mount, rain and wind is going to come. But if we build our house on the rock, then it's going to come. We're going to bend, but we're not going to break. But if we build our house on the sand, the crash is big. My suggestion is to do everything you can to build that house of yours on the rock, so that you'll be there for those sons. They'll be thrilled to have a new and a fresh and a vibrant relationship with you.
I love that. Thank you, Jim. John, we're going to send you a copy of Jim's book, Doing Life with Your Adult Children. I think that'll help in the process. And, we'll get you connected to the Emotional Freedom Workshop. We'd love to have you there for that online one day. Jim and Chris, this is the most wonderful time of the year, and I'm so glad we got to spend a couple of hours helping people at this time. And thank you so much to both of you. Thank you for your wisdom. Thank you, listeners, for tuning in. Tell somebody about New Life. It could be the best gift that they ever receive. We're so glad for each and every one of you. And if you need anything, give us a call. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again on Monday for New Life Live.
Hi, thank you for watching New Life Live. You know, New Life Live is a Christian counseling program where we deal with the hard questions about life, relationships, kids, free choice, freedom of will, whatever. It's all right there on New Life Live every day, every weekday, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. If you want to call into the live broadcast, you can find the schedule on newlife.com or click the social media link right below. You can see every episode of New Life Live on the New Life YouTube channel. Watch it with a friend, watch it later. Be sure to subscribe and hit that bell so you'll never miss another episode. So if you want to listen on the go, download the app. The link is right below. And I hope if you need some information, if you want to get some help, you'll call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. And I'll see you next time.